Okay. Good morning. Good to see everyone. Couple comments quick. First, want to make sure I should have done it Saturday night, but the individuals that did come to the game, Red Wave that were there, how much we appreciated them being there. Wasn't the greatest of environments. Mother Nature wanted to pour or rain, and rain pretty heavily during the first half, but was excited. It got loud. They were into it. And again, I wanted just to make sure that I made that comment, that I appreciate those members of Red Wave that showed up. And then this week, exciting week, get opportunity to honor, recognize. We started to kind of doing it a little bit last week internally, but with our 20-plus seniors that we have this year. All of them have provided great leadership, great mentors in their respective position rooms, their respective sides of the football. Owe them a lot, especially, a first-year head football coach. Those are kind of the first guys you get a chance to try to create some relationships with when you arrive. And so I want to make sure that I recognize those guys. And as the week goes on, we'll continue to recognize them internally as well. Good win on Saturday. There was a lot of things that I thought we did really well during the course of game. Probably the biggest thing is I thought we did a really good job handling the football. Whenever you have a game where it's going to rain and rain as hard as it did, I thought that was really good. I thought practicing in the rain on Friday, throwing some adversity at our guys, using a wet ball on Thursday was positive. Always trying to stay prepared. We ran for 245 yards from scrimmage. By the time you take away some sacks and the kneel down at the end of the game, I thought that was good. One of the things, we don't talk a lot about it in here, but we were 75% efficient on first down, which allowed us to be in a lot of second medium, second short, third and shorts during the course of the game. And then that conversely turned into 34 minutes time of possession offensively. I thought defensively we did a really good. Anytime you can hold team to 3 points, that should be enough to win. 3 of 15 on third down. Again, getting off the field. Again, it all goes back to that time of possession. And then 11 different possession changes defensively. We had eight punts, 2 stops on downs, and then of course the one traditional takeaway. And so again, and then winning the turnover margin 1-0. Both teams really did a pretty good job, regardless of the situation we had with the weather. But again, opportunity to win. Another great opponent this week. Going to cause some challenges on both sides of the football. They do a lot defensively. They jump in and out of multiple fronts, multiple coverages, multiple schemes. And then offensively, they got a quarterback that's a really good, talented player. Run game, throw game, and then they complement him with a lot of nice pieces around him. And so Bronco's done a really good job of getting his feet on the ground and making a big impact with that program right off the bat.
Morning, Coach.
How are we doing?
Good. How are you? Injury side, I know Rayshon got rolled up a little bit. Jason was late shaken up. I know Goodspeed got hurt at the tail end. Any sort of injury lingering from the game?
I don't think Goodspeed will be available this week, just from initial conversations having with our medical staff.
And then just in terms of, this opponent, you mentioned the quarterback's talent. What do you see from his talent? What kind of things he does that can cause issues with this defense?
The +1 run game, can create issues and it has created issues for a lot of people. I think they're, averaging 460 yards offense, but then you complement that with some of the RPO stuff that they'll do. It's a lot of gap scheme up front. They're getting backers into the fit, and all of a sudden now they're throwing the glance, they're throwing the bubble, they're taking some shots. So they're going to make you defend the entire football field, and they do a really good job. You can tell he's a tough kid too. He's taking some shots. I've had the opportunity to watch the last 3, just TV copies, just kind of watch the flow, tempo, personnel, substitutions, all that stuff. And you recognize he's a tough kid. And you can tell, loves to play the game and plays it the right way.
So how do you frustrate a quarterback like that in a game this
we got to be great at tackling. It's going to come down to the simple things. We got to be able to get off blocks. We got to tackle. We got to understand layering out our fits. We can't just all of a sudden be all at the line of scrimmage right now, because then we're going to open up some of those uncontested throws that he'll make off the glance look or off the RPO look. So I think trying to change maybe pictures. Play some multiple coverages. How do we find ways to get some pressure at his feet? I think that's one thing that you look at statistically they have struggled with a little bit at times this year is just some pressure. But how do we do it where we we know our issues and we know the solutions, because the last thing you want to do is give up a bunch of explosive plays.
And in terms of the offensive side, you saw Carson get in a rhythm in that 2-minute drive. You started seeing some throws down the middle. Are you starting to recognize some things that he's feeling more comfortable in?
Again, I think, all of a sudden you want to evaluate your quarterback in a downpour. It becomes difficult, but I do think there was some positives, like you said, the 2-minute drive, the 4th and 6 conversion that we had was a quick game. Saw it, knew where he wanted to go with it, got it, on rhythm. So again, please, I don't think a lot of people in the state of California threw for a lot of yards on Saturday night. So, but there's improvement. I love the way that he is a competitor. I love the way how he interacts with his football team and with his teammates. So we'll continue to keep coaching. And him and EJ have done a really good job of working together, helping Coach Davis put together a game plan, one that they like, things that they like to do, things that fit their skill set.
Coach, on Saturday, the team is going to be debuting the new agriculture uniforms. Have you had an opportunity to speak with the team about the importance and the significance of that with the Red Wave community?
We've touched briefly on it. Probably talk more about it later in the week. There's just a lot of things going on. Today we had a number of things that we needed to accomplish. Spring registration is happening, and so we had to make some time for it. But that's one of those things that we constantly are talking about is the value, the V. The green V and the importance of it. I don't think that's, we'll make a big deal of it as we get closer and closer to the week. This morning, my emphasis was on the seniors and their impact to this program and why we need to make sure that we're ready to go to, as a collective group to help them have a great week here, their last home game.
Jaden Pearson and Simeon Harris are facing their former team. Have they been able to provide any insight from their time there, taking it over to here? And I don't know if you've spoken to them.
Haven't really asked them. Again, it's a completely different staff, so I don't know if there's a whole lot of carryover from what they were doing previously to now. And again, there's an entire year of offense and defense, and we have access to everything. So it might have been if this were the opener of the year, there might be some value. But I think since then, they are who they are right now, and you can see that on film.
You've now had 10 games as a Division I head coach on your belt. Is there anything in particular that you've learned in those 10 games that you're still working to grow in, and something that you've learned that you're in? Sorry, let me start over. Is there something that you've been able to take away from those first 10 games that you're looking to grow in as a head coach?
I probably haven't really thought about it a whole lot. Probably the assessment, the critiquing will happen after the end of the year. We stay pretty busy with trying to, prepare game plans, move ahead, continue to develop our players the right way. So I'm sure there'll be a time for reflection once things slow down a little bit at the end.
Coach, tell me a little bit about the running back room and how you've seen those guys continue to grow and develop as the season's gone on.
Well, selfless is probably the number one thing. They're if you brought them in here, they'd all be they're tremendous fans of each other. And when one has success, they all get excited. And I think that is a compliment and a reflection on Coach Pryor. He has an unbelievable relationship with all of those individuals in that room. I think those guys genuinely understand that you got to be great without the ball. You look at what Brandon's done for us as a blocker. Again, on Saturday, we had that perimeter run over on their sideline, and I think he was blocking a kid for 10 yards, escorting him down the field. That's to me that's servant leadership. That's being selfless. Whatever I got to do to help this team win games, and I think those guys are great, examples of what we want to have here. Guys that just play unbelievably hard for the guy next to them.
Honoring the seniors this Saturday, is there anything specific that they'll be doing throughout practice or throughout the week to kind of just celebrate them?
No, probably just I think we'll probably finish practice, let them break down. Normally we bring in young guys, but I think we'll finish. We started last week where end of every practice the breakdown was a senior, someone that was being, will be honored. Of course, Saturday we'll have an opportunity to recognize all of them and their families as well, and we'll have something for them as the week goes farther along.
What did it mean to see Jonathan Arsenault get that run and that touchdown, especially as a senior in this room who's really stayed the course and spent his whole career here at Fresno State?
It's awesome. His commitment to this program, his commitment to his teammates and things. It couldn't have happened to a better young man. And if you watch that, and again, you guys probably have access to it, but if you watch the All-22 and you get to see the excitement on the sideline and the other 10 players on the field, I mean, they are all celebrating the minute he got into the open, and that I think that says volumes about the impact that young man's had on this football team. And again, I couldn't be, and we showed it this morning because that's one of those moments that everyone needs to see.
Aslian Hamilton, tell me a little bit about his leadership and his growth. Just, I know you've been here this season, but since he's also been a Bulldog all these years.
He's been great. Kind of him and Jakari have been really solid players for us in that corner room. And, just leadership, understanding what it takes, the willingness to work hard, mentoring the young kids, because we have some talented young corners that are on our football team right now. And I hope they're watching, how AZ handles his business, going to class, being a student of the game, how he impacts the people in our locker room as well. He's been great. He's got a lot going on in his world right now, and it's an exciting time for him.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
In this day and age of spreading it out, spread offenses, quarterbacks, all that good stuff, punishing football, smash mouth football, Fresno State plays it still wins. What's it about that type of football that still leads to wins?
Well, I think controlling the line of scrimmage, trying to eliminate maybe a possession or two with the new clock rules by being able to run the football. Maybe you can prevent your opponent from having the ball an extra possession each half. So ball control. I know I think college football is getting back to it right now. I mean, if you watch the game and you're really a fan of it, I think you see more and more teams in 12 personnel. They're realizing, and it's not a secret, but big athletic bodies and tight ends and fullbacks and H-backs can create mismatches. How do you match them up? Do you match up with a tight end? Do you match up with a DB? It's not really it's not necessarily a fair matchup. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create leverage issues. We're trying to create spatial issues with what we do offensively, making people have to play good defense.
And in the context of that, with the fact that Carson Conklin hasn't turned the ball over in his past 2 games, how big of a deal is that in terms of what you're trying to do?
Well, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If you can go 2 games, go any game without turning the football over, I think that's a positive. I know I'm an analytic junkie a little bit, but again, if you win the turnover margin, you win 60% of your games. And again, we're +1 this week, and that's a positive sign. And it was a big turnover at the right time.
And for all of the seniors, how huge were they for you coming into this program and helping you lead? Because I remember some of them saying you kind of empowered them to lead by example.
Well, I did. Normally in a normal year, I might have like a leadership council or something like that helps kind of, give us direction, steers the ship, if you will. But I just leaned on our seniors this year. There was enough newness with a new staff, new head football coach, new voice at the front of the room. I wanted there to be some consistency. My first couple 2-3 weeks that I was here a year ago during bowl prep, had an opportunity to meet with every young man on our football team and probably met with the veterans more so than others. I can remember Cam Braca coming in probably a handful of times, Jonathan Arsenault coming in a handful of times, reaching out to some guys that maybe were a little bit on the fence about what's the vision, how do I fit in with a new head football coach, guys like Cam Beecham, guys like Gil, and seeing those guys have great success their senior year, I'm super excited for them. You bet.
Coach, Simeon Harris and Jaden Pearson, I believe there are 2 of your first commits coming in.
Yep.
Can you reflect on how important they've been, and especially on this particular week?
Well, on every week, really. I don't know if it matters who we play. Those guys have been really good. How they've played all year long. You can tell that they played a lot of football leading up to this because it probably allowed them to transition into this role a little bit quicker. But both have been really, steady in production. Both have great understanding of what we're doing. it's been fun to see both of them help some of our younger players kind of come along. Simeon with a guy like, Tiger Canales, JP with both Logan and Titus, who are both having great success right now. And I think they're both enjoying their experience. And that's one of the things that we've always talked about. And I've always stressed is I want to create a valued experience for every single player of our member of our football program. So that's what it's supposed to be. Someone did that for me 30 years ago, and I want to make sure I provide that for our players right now.
Utah State's been scoring a lot of points this season. Just what catches your eye about their offense?
The explosiveness, the ability to create some explosive plays. They understand that there's conflicted players out there. Could be a safety, could be an overhang player, and they're going to try to take advantage of those players. Get them in a little bit of a, are they in the run fit or are they in coverage? And then that's where the RPO game becomes such a big deal. And then, the +1 run game. You have to do a great job of feathering out your run fits. It becomes a little bit of triple option with some of the things that they do, and then they're going to utilize their skill set. They have 3 very impressive backs. They got a solid offensive line. They got tight ends, and then defensively they do a really good job of flying around, and they're a physical group.
The defense hasn't been as statistically impressive, but what are some of the things that will create challenges for you?
Well, I think it's just the volume of things that they do. They're jumping in and out of some odd front. They get into some under quarters. They play a little bit of cover 1. There's some pressure packages. They'll bring 4 from a side and play a little bit of 2 under 3 deep or 3 under 3 deep. And so they're going to try to keep you on your heels a little bit by moving the front and trying to create some TFLs. You bet.
Coach, with 2 weeks to go, Fresno State's still in the hunt for the Mountain West Conference title game. I know you like to go 1-0 each week, but how does it feel to still be in contention?
That's good. That's positive, right? Meaningful football in the month of November. Everyone wants to do it. Doesn't matter what level, high school, college, NFL. When you're playing meaningful games in November, it means that you did something right all summer, months of September, August, October.
Can you talk about the contributions Brandon Ramirez has made for your team this year?
Yep. Downhill back, does a tremendous job in the run game, has been really good as far as, almost kind of filling in for like a fullback, H-back type of body. Physical at the point of attack, very assignment, driven, understands what we're trying to ask for him, has really kind of become a little bit of a Swiss Army knife for us offensively. And, having multiple backs on the field, I think creates some challenges for people. How do you treat him? Is he a tailback? Is he a fullback? Because he can still carry the football and be very effective, as far as, in the run game and throw game as well.
The team has not had a 100-yard receiver this year and only had one 100-yard rusher. Does that matter?
As long as we're winning, I don't think it does.
Right, and the kicking game, what can we expect out of Dylan Lynch? He went 1 for 2 on Saturday.
We'll just continue to keep working with Dylan. I know he missed that one and probably pulled his eyes off the kick a little bit, but I think we'll be fine. We'll continue to rep him and continue to work with him all week long.
And Utah State had some special teams kicking issues in their game at UNLV. Do you think that if the game comes down to 3 points or less, how do you see it playing out?
Well, all I can worry about is us right now. We're going to make sure that we contest for every point and make sure we're lined up and we're thoroughly prepared.
Coach, Titus, after the game the other day, mentioned a quip Coach Baxter had about Noah's Ark, and right now your practice field looks like that may be a means of escape. Any implications of the weather on how you guys have to do your work this week?
We'll go in the stadium. We'll use the turf field, and we used it the majority of last week. Our practice fields were getting chewed up pretty good. Our grounds people did a tremendous job of preparing it all summer, all fall, but we were out there probably more so than maybe teams in the past have. We were out there 3 days a week, and it was starting to get worn down a little bit. So we'll just move into the stadium, and we addressed that this morning, that we need to be locked in regardless of what the environment is or where we practice. We need to make sure we make these practices count.
And different coaches over the years have had different, traditions when it comes to seniors and senior week, going into senior night. Are there things you've done at other stops that you're going to incorporate, or different ways you're going to make the seniors?
I've thought about it a little bit. Probably have a little bit of conversation with some of our leadership. I want to be respectful of what's been done here in the past, because I do know that there's a tradition, a way of doing things. At this point of the season, the last thing you want to do is rock the boat or create any confusion. So I'll probably have a conversation with some of our seniors and just see, what angle, what approach they want to take. I got a sneaking suspicion most of them are going to say, let's just handle it like business as normal.
And is there one, primary emphasis this week, a focal point that you're going to hammer over and over again leading up to Saturday?
I think that talking about the seniors and making sure that we send them out the right way. I think that's valuable. I think those guys have done a lot for this program, have been maybe through a lot, have had a number of different faces at the front of the room, but the common denominator is them. Those are the guys that have been here. Those are the guys that there's a reason why we won 7 games, and that's because of the leadership. That's because of the veteran presence that we have on both sides of the football.
And I know you were asked about Bryson Barnes earlier, but he's a veteran guy and a guy who can hurt you with his legs as well as his arm. Any comparison to what you faced game 1 with Daniels? I mean, have you seen a guy of this kind of ability since then?
Yeah, no, we have not. Someone who is, designer plus 1 run game. Yeah, we haven't seen anything like this. This will be really good for us. And to throw on top of that, they jump into some wildcat stuff, and we'll use their tailbacks and some receivers, in that quarterback position. So, we're going to have like I said, a really good plan going into it. Try to change up some things. Have some solutions on our call sheet, so that way, we can just kind of keep them off base and on their heels a little bit during the course of the game. But again, at this point of the year, it still comes down to being great at the simple things. We got to be able to get off blocks. We got to tackle. Those things still matter in college football. All right, thank you.